is revolution, and the second is evolution. Now, I've taken you to the slide of what the business and where we're at with a product called Zukaz. Now, Zukaz is the revolution. Zukaz has been in development for over 2.5 years, been through MVP, pilot testing, early adopters, with some incredible successes, with a launch to be in Australia at least, and then followed globally in June of this year. What is Zukaz, you ask? Why is it such a revolution? Zukaz is a product that's taken augmented reality and geo-mapping, which you would be aware of in Pokemon Go, and allowed it to be unleashed for merchants and consumers globally in a way that the business model has never been used before, as far as we are aware. Instead of spending those advertising dollars and resources as a merchant by either e-commerce or bricks and mortar, Zukaz allows the merchants 24/7 to drop real cash vouchers anywhere in the world, as you would with Pokemon. Those vouchers are real cash, and I stress that point, not points and discounts and 2 hamburgers for the price of 1. So, for example, coffee shops in Albury-Wodonga, vouchers worth $2 to $5 in testing. Coffee Mama is an example, 175 vouchers on a weekend. There is no cost at that point to the merchant for that advertising. I'll say that again, no cost at all up front to the merchant. No money spent with Google, no money spent with Facebook up front to get page impressions or click-throughs. Once those vouchers are dropped, the merchant has at his disposal everything you understand in the last 20 years with advertising you've seen with Google or Facebook. The voucher is augmented reality. It can be shoes, it can be clothes, it can be humans, it can be animals that you look at in 3-dimensional form. Behind those vouchers is the cash. Real cash that when you hunt and collect, you collect the voucher. Now, the voucher there at that point is all about the hunters, and the hunters are the consumers. They can be existing or new customers. And the testing we've done with the hunters, we've given 3 opportunities for people to hunt and collect. The first is they go on a geo-mapping, they look up and filter through whatever voucher they desire. Once they've identified their vouchers and they collect them, they may just sit on the voucher and it expires if that's the program the merchant has delivered. At that point, you've now achieved the outcome of Google or Facebook at no cost. The voucher can contain links to websites, videos, pictures, streaming, live, whatever you can imagine. The second option is that they've collected the voucher and they go and redeem them back either online or at the bricks and mortar shop. Now, in the coffee shop example, of 175 vouchers, 167 were collected, and of that, 70 were redeemed back in the coffee shop with a 330% increase in spend. Now, it's only at the point of redemption we charge the 10% fee. It's a win-win for the merchant and certainly for the consumers. Now, the power of it is that anybody in this room could be dropped just to you personally a voucher from a merchant anywhere in Brisbane or anywhere around the world as a loyalty to you, that only you can see and not others. The third option, which has created excitement for the millenniums, is that the millenniums can collect the voucher and on-trade that on our platform with other people seeking that particular voucher. For example, one of our clients is Ferrero Rocher chocolates. They're looking at dropping augmented reality Kinder Surprise. Kids go hunting and collecting them. They get guaranteed collectibles plus the dollar value behind for redemption. It is an incredibly exciting advertising revolution that you're going to see happen. Now, I talked about the evolution. Well, what is the evolution? I'll just go back a few slides. One of the things creating a global platform, and interestingly like Pokemon, is that they control the whole database, which means there's a weight of data that is a burden on those that are providing the services. In our testing, we had to make sure that we'd handled 30 million plus merchants globally, or hundreds of millions of hunters at the same time, simultaneously dropping and hunting. As part of that program, we then had to have a medium exchange. And we looked at the exchange mediums available, and of course, Bitcoin is glaringly obvious. However, there are enormous inherent problems in globalising a new exchange using Bitcoin as we know it. Interestingly, by chance, and just fluke, I own another company called Splitlock. And as you're aware, we're all sitting here in other mediums talking about blockchain and what it means. But the downside for Bitcoin is a couple of things. You've got miners that are processing the very transactions you need validated globally. Tens of thousands of miners at a huge economic cost just to validate the transaction to process. You will never buy a cup of coffee using Bitcoin in a system with an ecosystem the scale of Zukaz. It will never happen. What happens when the miners run out of incentive? And that incentive is that there's no more coins left. It's possible you could be stuck with your Bitcoins without any transacting capability. The rates of transfers per second, Visa, MasterCard in the thousands, that's the capability we need, or tens of thousands. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've released today on our website, Zucoins.com, what we've called an imperative paper. Not a white paper, not a green paper, and not a strategic paper. First time ever, an imperative paper that will reveal the technology using split lock. Now, split lock we bought originally to stop hacking in terms of the data that we are housing. In a quick form, split lock shreds data electronically, puts it in packets, and splits it up with cryptographic hash key in different jurisdictions around the world. So our servers with Amazon have 3 different packets around the world. It's a concept that renders data useless, not a concept that requires data protection. Now, we've all heard of Satoshi, and whoever that is, or wherever that is, or whatever company it is that created blockchain as we know it, I can tell you there is a real guy in Albury-Wodonga called Robert Novak that's taken the split lock technology and is fragmenting the blockchain. As far as we know, in a world first. You do not need to carry the entire blockchain with you. You do not need 125 gigs spread amongst 10,000 miners in order to validate the very transaction. What you need is a Genesis block that itself can validate against those in the ecosystem. And I'm pleased to say that after years of testing, that is working with a true peer-to-peer transferability of data. Now, peer-to-peer means that you're storing a fragment of the blockchain individually, which allows you to match that up against the Genesis block and allows you to transfer instantly. No fees and charges, no third party, no transactional costs, and a rate of processing power only governed by those on the network. So if you had 1 million or 10 million or 100 million people with fragments of Zucoins, which contains the value data that you want, then that allows it for instant processing without even Zukaz involved. So I'd invite you to look at the imperative paper. It's quite revealing, very exciting, and it means that for Zukaz, as an ecosystem in itself, being revolutionary, taking on the giants in a $500 billion industry, the Zucoins are the glue that creates that medium exchange within that ecosystem. Now, not only is it an exchange proposition, but the ecosystem of merchants and hunters, circling back to those people, 20% of every transaction fee of the 10% or the sale of vouchers is automatically with a smart contract plowed into the Zucoin holder as a value proposition. Now, this is coming from the ecosystem. It's not coming from Zukaz as a company. It is not a security token. It is not a utility token. It is Bitcoin on steroids, without the problems. So let you reflect upon that. They're exciting times for us. It's an easy sales pitch when we bring on merchants. It's literally download the free app, set up whatever parameters you wish to create the vouchers, and with that voucher proposition, let the market go crazy. Where in the world will you have people hunting and collecting actual ads? At the moment in the world, we create ads, and then there's ad blockers. And then there's blocks and roadblocks in terms of where you sit in Google search, or the flooding of data that's sitting in Facebook and Instagram. This technology of Roberts lends itself not just, ladies and gentlemen, to coins, but it means that proprietary data, like photos or videos, can be also interactive in terms of the peer-to-peer transferability without a third party. And I'll leave you with last thought. It also lends this ecosystem to create for the first time commercialised virtual property sales, where we know where everybody's travelling through the world hunting and collecting in geo-mapping, and royalties could be paid to that virtual property. And that virtual property is guaranteed secured as best it can through this new, what we call split chain technology. Thank you.